Hi, Julie Torrance here. So we're going to do some more beginning of the beginner watercolor. I've got my Jane Davenport paints. These are old. These are many years old. They don't make them anymore, but there's other little sets that got the 12 half pans, and use what you have. Okay, I'm setting these up here. I also have, and this again, they don't make these anymore, but I don't throw things away just because they're not in fashion. This is called paper fashion, but they're metallics and they're shimmery paints, kind of pearlized paints. And I'm going to be using those again. Use what you have. Don't worry if you don't have what I'm using. It doesn't matter, I promise. All right, now I've got you set up close, so, I can't show you everything. I've got water for watercolor. My water bucket has two separate wells, or you can just use two little containers. Again, use what you have, but I find it makes a big difference doing it with two, and we'll talk about more of that. And then I have a palette. This is ceramic, but you can use a paper plate. I used a paper plate for 10 years, and it's fine. This just happened to be on sale. If you're going to buy a palette, I do recommend using a ceramic. Not ceramic-like, but something that is ceramic. I would use, and that's what I did, I used a paper plate until I happened to find that on sale. I've got a handful of brushes. Now, I've got some brushes that are absolutely student grade. I've got some middle of the line. I don't really own any professional watercolor brushes, but I have a variety. Again, use what you have. And this is my Junky Junk Journal. And one of the things that I did in my Junky Junk Journal is I made pockets and I put my watercolor cutoffs, just offcuts, and I'm just going to pull some out. I have some in the back, and there we go. That we won't get through that many, but they're just offcuts. And I'll start out with one of these larger ones. And this is, I can just tell by the feel, this is my Amazon Basics watercolor paper. It's very economical, and for the kind of work we're doing, it works great. But you do want some type of a paper that's designed for water. Maybe it's mixed media. It could be paper that's designed for printmakers, but just something that's used to being wet. Now, as you're going through life, if you can find a sprayer, you don't have to buy a sprayer. You can get them at the dollar store. But this is just a hair product. And again, I've had this for more than 10 years. And I am just going to give a light spray over my paints just to kind of get them, they call it activated, get them started, get them rolling. Okay, we're going to start out with a round brush. This is a Princeton 8. And I'm wetting my brush. I have paper towels here, and I'm just giving it a dab. And I want to get it nice and wet. And I'm just going to grab a color, but I'm leaving my brush pretty wet. So I'm grabbing something in the red family. I can tell not wet enough, no dab, just getting some paint. We're going to go at this slow, and we're going to do some flowers. So what I want you to do is I want you to make a dot of color, and it's raised up. Rinsing my brush, dab, and I am making a teardrop shape, just like that. There, leave it alone. Rinsing my brush, keeping it fairly wet, I'm going to make another dot. And that's bubbled up, it's raised up. Rinsed my brush, dab, and I'm making another teardrop shape. And if they're not exact one to the other, that's all right. Flower petals are not all exact. Doing the same thing here. And it's got to bubble up. Rinse. There's just water on my brush. and I'm making another teardrop. Okay, I'm going to leave those alone, and I'm going to do another one. Same color, and if I don't get a raised up bubble, I did, but if I didn't, I would just go back, get some more water, get some more paint, do the process again. Dab, dab, and a teardrop shape. Could be an oval. Whatever shape comes out of the bottom of your brush is fine. Rinsing, more paint. Over here, there's a raised up bubble there. Making a teardrop. Good. Okay, rinse my brush, going back into that paint. Another one. Now, if this one runs into that one, I'm not going to worry about it. It's fine. It may not. Never know. And there. Teardrop shape. All right, we're doing it again. Over here, a dot. It's bubbled up. Make it a teardrop. And you can certainly see that my teardrops are not the same. And I'm just doing this process again. You can do this. I know you can. This is not hard. And one more. That one didn't come out very bubbly, so I just went into the water and added a little bit more. And there. Okay, there's the start of 3 flowers. Now, I'm going to go into that little bit of red, and my brush is pretty wet, kind of like when I was making the bubbles, and I'm just going to add a couple of splatters. That's all. Just a couple. Now, I'm going back to that same process. Get a bubble of paint, and I'm going to put it between. Wet brush, but dab, dab, and another teardrop shape. Now, if this seems like I'm repeating a process too much, this is what it takes. And I'm going particularly slow because I want you to catch on. And yep, this one's running on top of that one. That's fine. Bubble of paint in between. And teardrop. This one came a little bit rounder. That's all right. Okay. This one. Bubble of paint. Rinse. Dab, dab. Teardrop shape. Are you seeing some flowers kind of coming into life here? I bet you are. Bubble. Dab, dab. Now you're going to be able to use this technique with all kinds of other things. Bubble of paint. Again, this one came out a little bit round. I'm not going to worry about it. It's fine. Okay, last one. Bubble of paint. Rinse. Teardrop shape. Bubble of paint. Rinse. Teardrop shape. Good. One more. Bubble of paint. teardrop shape. Some of these are light, some of them are dark. Some of them look perfect, some of them look wonky. It's all fine. Now, I'm going to pick a darker shade, and I'm going into the purple. And I'm just going to grab up some paint. I'm going to put it over here on my little tray. I'm going to add some water to it. So I've got a pretty watery thing. Can you see? Yeah, you can see. All right, now this is pretty watery. I am just going to make little dots all around in a circle. They may connect with the petals. They may not. It doesn't matter. And these are just fantasy flowers. I'm not giving these flowers a name because they don't have one. They're just fantasy flowers. And yep, it's going to blend up into the petals a little bit. That's fine. Okay. Now I'm going to grab some of that purple. And again, just a couple splatters. That's it. No more. All right. Now, we're going to give these flowers a little something to stand in. When we did the birds, when we did the other watercolors, the dancing dolls, in the dancing dolls, we grounded them with splatters. With the birds, I'm just going into a green. We just went in and did a scribble, which is fine. Now I'm going to grab another green, and this time, grabbing the green, there's a little bit of tan in this thing. That's fine. If it mixes in, that's good. It's not that I don't clean my trays. It's just that the paint, whatever paint's there, is good. Now I'm just going to make little dots that are kind of oval shaped. And I'm just going in the dry areas, in the wet areas, and I'm just putting some dots in, kind of varying it up a little bit. All right, now I'm going to pick another color, and I don't have a brown. That would be something like earth. So I've got that little bit of green. To it, I'm going to add a touch of purple, mix it up with that tan. It needs a little bit more green, so I just touched one of the greens. I'm going to touch it to red, and I'm just getting kind of a brown shade. And I'm just going to do the dots. Some of the dots are in dry, some of the dots are in wet, but it gives it a texture, kind of an earthy texture. Put some at the way bottom here. And there, just dots. So that's another way that you can make some earth, ground. Okay, I'm going to put that brush down. I'm going to grab a smaller brush. Now this is a Royal Langnickel. That is a student grade company, but I think this brush is nice. And I'm going to give it a workout here. I'm going to grab a green, grab whatever green you have. I'm going to go over here, and I'm just adding some water to it because I want it flowy. I'm going to start at the bottom, and I'm going to bring a stem up to each of these flowers. Bottom up. And it doesn't have to touch the flower. Just like that. Now, same green, and we can just go from the pan again. I'm going to make a dot, rinse, dab, dab, and again, I'm making a teardrop shape. Not enough water. Just making a teardrop shape. And touch right into the stem. Same thing. Over here. It's got a bubble. And teardrop shape. Nice. And into that green, a bubble, Rinse, rinse, wet brush, teardrop shape. Kind of turned out round. It's all right. Back into the green. I know I don't have enough water. Back into the green. Little puddle of color. And I'm just putting it in anywhere that I feel like I've got space. Yep. And I'm grabbing that green again. Little dot. Rinse and go. And now teardrop shape. And there. All right, I really like that. Now I'm going to take that green, but I'm just going to put my hand over the flower and just a couple sprinkles at the bottom. Good. All right. Now, the centers are a little bit wet. That's okay. I'm grabbing the yellow and I'm just going to fill in with dots. Dot, 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 dot. Dot, dot, dot. And this one's more wet. That's all right. And dot, 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 dot for some centers. Good. Grabbing the yellow. And again, I'm going to give it a few dots. A few splatters. All right. Nice. Okay. Now, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going into the metallic. If you don't have a metallic, pick a color. And I'm just going to make little dots. I don't want them to be splatters because I want them just to have a few, just to add a little shimmer. Maybe you have a little of a paint that is pearly or whatever you have. Use a color you haven't used before and just make these dots with that, because we don't have this gold anywhere else. I'm going to give this a turn. And I'm just putting these dots in and amongst the other splatters. And I'm going to go all the way down by the dirt, by the earth, soil. And I'm just adding, and I'm going to go way up in the top. Just little dots. Okay. And we've got some cute little flowers. Now there's ways to add a whole lot more detail to this, but we're just beginning, right? Okay, let's do another one. And I'm gonna just set this aside to dry. And I grabbed another sheet. You'll find that watercolor paper, and these are called cold press. Cold press means it has bumps. Think of cold as goosebumps. There's bumps. Hot press is smooth. Use what you like. These are cold press. Let's do some of these flowers again. Now, I'm going to move it along just a little bit faster. I'm grabbing a color we didn't use. It's just a different red, but it doesn't have to go as slow as we were. So I've got a good amount of paint, very wet, and I'm going to go with 3 dots this time in kind of a triangle shape. Wet my brush, start making the petal shapes. Good. Wet my brush, get some more paint. Dot, dot, dot. And you can see, and I'm using that Royal Langnickel brush. It's working fine to me. They had a display at the craft warehouse. No, craft outlet it's called. And it was just anything in that display was $1. And I saw some of these brushes and I thought, oh, they look fine. I grabbed a few. Now this one, I'm on purpose putting 2 and then 1 down below. And I'll show you why later. This is almost like a lipstick red. And I don't remember the exact names of these colors. Okay, good. Now, these are shiny. This one's not, so that's fine. I'm going back to the start, and I'm going to repeat this process. 1, 2, 3. Rinse, dab, dab, but there's still plenty of water on the brush. Just making teardrop shapes. Good. Grabbing that same color. Dot, dot, dot. This one is still more wet. And if I touch one of those, I don't care. It's fine. Teardrop shape. Good. Now this one, I'm only going to do 2. We're still using the exact same technique, but we're just sort of making a half flower. This flower is facing up the sun, where the other 2 flowers are facing us. Now, I am just going to take that little bit of paint and I'm just going to make some little C shapes. There. Leave it alone. And I'm just going to bring these C shapes to give them a little bit of a point, pointing towards in. That's all I did. All right, good. Now I'm going to take again a darker color or a different color. And I think last time I used a purple, I'm going to use a blue. And this is, I know, a darker blue. And I'm just going to go around and make dot, dot, dot around my petals. And they're going to bleed. We're working a little bit faster. This one is almost an oval shape, not quite. Okay, there we go. I love it. Now, let's make some ground. I'm going back into that brown color that we kind of made here. It's kind of a greenish brown. I'm adding a little more green to it. I'm going to add a little bit of that red we were just using, and that gave me a purple. That's fine. I'm going to grab another green. Now we're getting gray. I'm going to add a little yellow. Got a whole nother green again. That'll be fine. Just mix them up. Okay. Dot, dot, dot. Dot, 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 dot. I am not going all the way to the bitter bottom. I leave a little bit of the white at the bottom. Okay. I'm going to grab a totally different green while this is still wet and do the same. Dot, 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 dot. Some is touching what we already did, and some is going in the dry spots. Good. And I'm going to add a different green again, but it's one that we used in here. And dot, 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 dot. Like somebody just took a hoe and kind of cleaned it up. Now, we didn't do the sprinkles. This red is so red that dots or, to go splat, splat, can look a little murderous. It starts to look like unhealthy. But I'm going to take the purple and I'm just going to put a few splatters in the purple. And I'm going to take this green is fine. And again, I'm going to do these more towards the bottom. There, just a few, not a lot. Now, all of this is more wet because we're working faster. I'm grabbing one of the greens, it's a lighter green, working from the bottom up, making a stem towards the flowers. I'm dragging through all of the splatters. It's all fine. Good. Now this time, I'm going to make the leaves just coming up from the bottom, and they're just going to be an elongated oval, I guess. And all the leaves, and I'm dragging through all these colors. I'm dragging through dots, splatters, all of it. There we go. Now I'm just going to add some leaves where there's no flowers. Yep. And they're just line up, line down, and there. Easy. And there. Now, I'm going to make a couple a little bit longer, but still coming from the bottom, just to give this flower a little friend. And I'm just going to give it a point. Nice. Now that yellow-green, I'm going to give this a couple splatters. That's it. You can go really too nuts with the splatters. Going into the yellow. Now my centers are still wet. That's okay. And I'm just letting it mix and get in the center. There. I'm going to take this yellow towards the top, sunshine. There. Few splatters. Now I'm going to go into that gold. And I'm going to go back to just making my own little circular dots. That dot's a little big. That's fine. I'm just going to be sure I put some other ones that big so it doesn't look like a mistake. It looks like a technique. There are no mistakes. Nope. I kind of like the bigger ones. As I go higher, definitely smaller. And these will give a shimmer where you don't expect it. Nice. Okay, I'm liking this. This center came out awfully dark. I'm just going to grab a dry spot on my paper towel and I'm going to give it a blot. Just one time up. There. Fixed. Love it. Okay, let's let this one dry. Now, you know, I have a variety of shapes. Let's grab a different shape. Let's say you've got a scrap that's this shape. You could do one single flower, but let's change it up a little bit. I need a pencil. I know I put a pencil out here, but heaven only knows. All right, grab another pencil. Well, it's got to have a point. And that pencil, I know. I don't want to grab a pencil that's like really dark. All I'm going to do is put an arch with the pencil. That's it. And I'm just going to use that as my guide to make a floral spray. And I want a bigger here and then smaller going this way. All right. I'm going to grab a blue. I know. There's blue flowers. I'm adding water, water, water because it's just very dry. Okay. I'm going to go back to the 3 dots. Dot, dot, dot. Rinse. Wet brush, but dabbed off. And here we go. Nice. And I'm grabbing that blue again. Dot, 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 rinse. Now, since all of these are wet, if they touch each other, they're really going to be blurred out, and that's fine. Let it blur out. Okay, let that go. Same blue. I'm going to put 2 dots this way and 1 this way. Rinse. Remember that half flower? That's what this one's going to be. One of those half flowers. That turned more into an oval. That's all right. Same thing on the other end. Dot, dot, dot. Too much water. I just gave it a dab on the paper towel. And there we've got. Good. Very, very nice. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put some more in there. What do you think of that? I'm going to do a dot, and a dot. And I'm going in between here. I'm going in between here. I'm going in between here. Grabbing the blue, I'm going to put a dot here. It's not wet enough. Add a little water. There we go. Another one here. Bring out, need a little color because it spread into the other petal. And there. Okay. Grabbing some color, just 2 dots. Teardrop, teardrop. Good. Over here. Dot between. Teardrop, teardrop. Nice. All right. These we did pretty fast, so they're going to need to dry a little bit. I'm just going to add some little color like purple, and I've got some over here too. All I'm going to do is make some little dot flowers. 5 little petals. Just like that. Nothing fancy, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In between, in the white spaces. If it touches and it blends in with one of the blue flowers, I don't care. It's fine. It will all be good. What do you think? Can you kind of see? Now, here's where the ends are. I'm going to go ahead, though, with just a real little one on that side. I'm going to put a real little one on this side. Just like that. Don't you like the way that kind of is filling in? You can sort of see. All right. I've got another blue here. It's kind of a medium blue. And I'm just going to put those centers in. So I'm going to go around. This one's kind of oval shaped. That's fine. A little more color. Oval shape again. This one came out kind of round. That's fine. Good. Let those dry. Now, I'm going to be putting in some leaves. I'm going to start out with the lighter leaves. So a lighter green. I'm just going to do the dot and a dot here and a dot here. 3 dots. They're watery. And teardrop shapes. Or ovals. Doesn't matter. Something that kind of gives you the reminding of a leaf shape. There's no exact, especially with watercolor. All right, dot, dot, that. You can do this. I promise. May take a little practice. Don't get discouraged. I think working small, like we are, is a lot less intimidating. Now I'm going to put one right here at the end and one right here at the end. Can you see how that arch just kind of helped us? Look at that. Love it. I love it. Okay, I'm going in now with that yellow color, and I'm going to fill in look at that. Now, I want to put in the middle of the purples, but they're very wet because they're little bubbles that we never spread out. And that's okay. I'm going into a pink. And, you know, use the colors you have. And I'm just going in. And it may touch the purple. It may not. It doesn't matter. But I'm just giving these little flowers. I'm going to get a little more pink. Just like that. Well done. Good, good, good. I haven't forgot about splatters. We're just not doing them yet. Now, remember we made those long, skinny leaves? Let's put a few of those in. I'm going to turn this. Make it easy for you. I'm just going to give it like this. Here and there. Isn't that pretty? I'm just making a line, curve, another curve line, fill it in, point at each end. Put one up here. And they can aim in all kinds of directions. Let's see here. And we're getting our little shape here, aren't we? Our little arch for our little spray. Not worried about stems. Look at that. Okay, I want to add splatters to this, but I want it to dry a little more. And I'll show you why in a minute. So I'm just going in with that gold. And I'm just going to start putting in like the dots of those flowers, of those little purple and pink flowers. And I'm filling in gaps with just these dots. Dots are great fillers, but I am controlling where they go compared to splatters. And splatters tend to be all kinds of shapes and sizes. Now, I'm going to bring these dots more to a point at the end of each of these. So I'm going to add a few here, but now I'm going to kind of on purpose head it towards a little bit of a point there. Now, is there any place that I see that I just think could use a little filling in? Like maybe here, maybe here, maybe here. You know, if you feel like there's a lonely flower or a lonely leaf, I can see a little spot right here, here, here. Another one here. All right, let's let this dry. Good. I'm going up back to the first one we did. Here it is. This is the first one we did. Now, I'm going to take this brush. Now, if you're going to buy a brush, and this is Master's Touch. So this was from, Hobby Lobby. I'm going to wet it. And look at how skinny that is. I'm going into any green. I'm just grabbing a green. I'm going to water it down over here, just where I've got that other green. Green on top of green. From the bottom to the top, I'm adding some grasses. Right over. If it goes on top, that's fine. Isn't that pretty? Now, if you don't have this kind of a brush, don't sweat it. Here's that Royal Langnickel. Wetting it. Fairly dry, not too dry. Going back into that color and watch. See? You can do it. Use what you have. There. I like those grasses, don't you? I'm taking that same Royal Langnickel. This same one. I am going to go into, I'm deciding here. I'm going into a fairly dark blue. If I had to put a name to this, it's almost an indigo. I'm gonna rub some right here so you can see. See how dark? It's not black. It's a blue. And I've just got that Royal Langnickel brush. And I am going to go just around the yellow part. And I'm just adding some more dots. A little more detail. Just like that. That makes a big difference, doesn't it? Now, same skinny tip. I'm just wetting the tip. I'm just putting color on the tip. I'm going to put just one line, whoosh, in each of the leaves. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Two whooshes. Whoosh, whoosh. There. I just followed along. Now I'm going to go trying, but it will never be, to go in the middle of the stem. Again, I'm just adding a little detail. Nice. Now, I'm going to grab what I believe was that same red color that I made those flowers out of. And I am just taking my skinny little brush and I'm going 1, 2, 3. I'll see if you can see. 1, 2, 3. Okay? So just the tip. I'm just getting the very tip wet. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Some are a little thicker, some are a little thinner. But it's just adding a little detail. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. A little more, wrong color. A little more paint. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. A little more over here. Just put barely the tip into the water. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. There. What do you think? Isn't that pretty? You can do this. I hope you can see it. I'm going to see if you can see it. I think so. Okay, good. Now I'm going to grab the second one we did. And I'm taking a green color. I'm going back over here. Remember this? I'm just wetting that all down with my little twiggy brush here. And I'm adding some grass. There. Isn't that nice? Good. All right. I've got that Royal Langnickel brush. I'm going into that color that looks like, indigo, dark blue. And I'm going to use that on these to do the 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Brush was a little wet. It's okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Nice. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm just going right around doing that same thing. I'm not going to bother with those 2 or 3 little petals there. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Nice. Nice. Now, we've got those longer leaves. I'm going into a darker green than what I have, and I'm just making a line in them. And it's kind of a broken line, and that's fine. Just like that. I'm going to do the same thing, and remember, like as if I'm going in the middle of the stem, but it will never be in the middle. It's going to go back and forth, but that's all right. Just to add that little bit of detail. Gorgeous. Okay. Now, can you kind of see? I hope so. I think so. All right. And the last one, the spray. Is it prettier than you remembered? I think so. Okay, now I'm grabbing this guy. I'm grabbing just that same green that's in the palette. And this way, I'm finishing off the arch. Oop, went in the wrong green, doesn't matter. Just like that. Now I'm going to add a few, like right here, but keeping in mind the shape of the arch. Just like that. A few more. Nice. These are going to be shorter. Again, I want to keep it in the direction of this arch to enhance the arch. Isn't that pretty? Okay, get that Royal Langnickel one out. I'm going into a reddish, well, a pink. And we've got some pink on there. And I'm just going to do, again, in a little round around these middles. There. Okay, now I want to take a piece of paper. I'm just grabbing a scratch paper. I'm going to try to kind of make an arch shape. Can you tell that I am not measuring? I am just trying to make a bit of an arch shape. Now that pink is still wet. I'm going to go ahead and lay this on top. That's fine. Royal Langnickel brush. I'm going into that pink, which was the last color we used. And here we go. Oh, I'm going to bump it up just a touch. There. Okay, here we go. And I'm going over the whole thing. That's the most splattering we've done. Lift this up. Ta-da! The splatters are wet, and I'd rather not smear them. What do you think? Okay, you can do this. Let's just take a little recap here. See if we can make a little bit of room, because again, I brought you in close. We did this arch or a little spray. We did this one, and we did this one. Thank you for joining me today. I think they're beautiful. Remember, please, to like, subscribe. It helps my channel so very much. Welcome to all the new people. Right over here is a video picked out for you. Bye now.